Online, I get derailed, it's tripping me, I can't relax. Where emotions are a playlist and we're skipping through the tracks. Look, your friend had lunch, like it. Look, your friend made a funny joke, laugh, react. Look, your friend is struggling through their father's death, sad, react. Love heart, react, sad, react. It's weird if you change it. Look, your friend just shared a fascinating tutorial on Danish cord weaving. Wow, react. Look, your friend shared an article about Nazis in Europe. Angry, react. Look, your friend's had a baby. Love heart, react. These are different people. They're not the same friend having the busiest day ever. But it is the same you reading this the same day, the same minute. Mostly, I can keep up with the churning, the leap up from mourning to learning, but when an agonized missive from the bereaved is followed by tips on how to lace rope weave, it feels dismissive, like we didn't get space to grieve. In Spain, this article reads, Nazis have been granted legal protection, so words and deeds against them are a hate crime. And in Canberra, Robert and Charlotte's newborn Clement is perfection. And how are both of these on my screen at the same time? At the supermarket, they give us dividers so we don't buy each other's bread. I need one here instead. I need to fully rage before I turn the page, so when I scroll on yonder and see Clement's tiny face, I can hold a full moment of wonder. Perhaps poetry has the benefit of training me to be fitter for a lifetime of Twitter, because here, no matter what stories we tell, whether they're heaven or hell, we have space to dwell. We have space. We dwell. This is my ode to the clearing, to this sit-down meal in a forest of fast food feelings. Why does it help me heal? Why do I love it so much? Because here I get to feel, and I'm never, ever rushed. Thank you. All right, that's the poem. Here's the speech. Do you ever feel worse after spending time online? That's deliberate. The internet is making you sad on purpose. In this talk, I'll break down a few of the ways in which your emotions are farmed, harvested, and sold online. Things will get grim. But I do have a solution to propose, and that's art. I believe that art is more crucial than ever to securing our well-being and freedom in the age of the internet. But more on that later. First, I need to communicate how terrifying the internet truly is. And I'd like to start with a gummy bear. There's a well-known metaphor in the world of tech and media. It's called the gummy bear metaphor. I didn't invent it, I've heard it dozens of times. And it illustrates the difference between traditional transactions and transactions online. In a traditional transaction, you might want a gummy bear. So you go to the shop, you give the shopkeeper some money, the shopkeeper gives you a gummy bear, transaction's done, go home and eat it, happy days. You are the buyer, the shopkeeper is the seller, the gummy bear is the product. Online, you might think that you're a buyer, a consumer, and that's true. But on a far greater scale, you are the product being sold. You are the gummy bear. Here's how that works. Companies such as Google and Facebook and Twitter are constantly recording data on your emotional responses. Whenever you like something or react to it or retweet or share or comment, you are providing an emotional response. That's a point of data on your emotions. When you click on something that interests you, that's an emotional response. When you report something that you think is unethical or shouldn't be there, that's an emotional response. And even if you never react to anything or comment, you're not in the clear, because simply looking at things is a recordable emotional response. If a website shows you something and you look at it for a few seconds, that's an emotional response that gets recorded. If a website shows you something and you scroll away as quick as you can, that's a different response. That gets recorded. If a website shows you something, you scroll away, then you change your mind and come back, that's a separate emotional response. That gets recorded. And even if you don't have social media accounts or even an email account with anyone, you might think that you've escaped, but it's not true. Over 90% of websites have trackers on them. That includes news websites, entertainment websites, pornographic websites, shopping websites. And these trackers record your emotional responses, your activity on the site, how long you look at different things, and they can send that information to a third party, such as Google or Facebook, without asking you, even if you don't have an account with those companies. By constructing a profile of you through your emotional responses, they learn a bit about your personality. Think about it as meeting someone new. As you spend time with them, you see how they react to different things. That gives you an idea of who they are. You know that people are going to respond a certain way to certain things. The better you know someone, the better you know that. That's the profile being constructed here. Tech giants like Facebook and Google then sell this profile of you to advertisers. So in this transaction, the tech giants are the seller, advertisers are the buyer, you are the product. You are the gummy bear. I'd like to get a show of hands if you're willing to part with a bit of data in an offline environment. Who here likes dogs? Thank you for your honesty. I was worried there'd be some hesitation after all this fear about sharing your data, but thank you for being quick. Google and Facebook and sites like that already know which ones of you like dogs and which ones don't. They could have told me who was going to raise their hand. Who here likes sport? Alright, they already know which ones of you like sport, what sports you like, and what teams you follow. Who here likes food? I was hoping for everyone. We're humans, we're alive. They already know what kinds of food you like and at what time of day you'd like to get them. Now, I'm going to ask our lovely tech person, Elul, to pull up an image of me. Round of applause for Elul, please. Elul and Alan over there in the corner, they worked so hard on this. So Elul's got this image of me that we prepared about 20 minutes earlier. And in this image, I communicate my emotional response to gummy bears, and I'm very happy to share that with you. Thank you, Elul. Here is the image that we prepared earlier of how I feel about gummy bears. I want one of you lucky people to be a gummy bear now. I'm going to be an advertiser buying information from Facebook, and one of you is going to be the product. Can I please get a volunteer? Oh, you're brave. Come on up. Come on, round of applause for our volunteer. All right, can you stand on the rug? Could you please tell everyone your name?
Ian.
Ian, thank you. Ian, clearly happy to share information. Don't worry, there's not much we can do with your name. That's actually not useful data. But if we click Boost Post and then Edit Audience, so it's just on the left, there we go. We can target some information to you. Are you happy to share a few demographic details and interests?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ian. First of all, where in Melbourne? Do you live in Melbourne?
Yeah, Brunswick.
Lovely. Let's put in Brunswick. Let's see if we can get that specific. Brunswick, Victoria, Australia. Beautiful. We can hit you right there. Thank you, Lil. All right, next up, Ian. What's your gender identity?
Male.
Male. So men. Next up, roughly how old are you? 20s, 30s?
Early 20s.
Early 20s. Ooh, let's put that in as 20 to 25 then. Well, I was just going to make it to 20 to 29, but you're so happy to give us your information. All right, next up, I'm going to ask you about food, music, and travel. First up, a type of cuisine you like. What's the kind of food you like?
Probably Japanese food.
Japanese food. Could we please get Japanese cuisine? A little lovely, thank you. Now, who's a singer whose work you enjoy?
Probably Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. I'm sure that will be in there. Thank you. A little bit building a profile. And if you could travel anywhere, just go on holiday tomorrow, where would you like to go?
Finland, probably.
Finland. That's the country, that'll be in there. Lovely, so we've got a few bits of data which we can use to target to Ian, but right below that box, where it says exclude people, we can narrow our search even further by finding things that he doesn't like. So Ian, off the top of your head, who's a singer you don't like?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Okay, a little, if you would be so kind as to put Taylor Swift in that blank space, thank you. I'd like to say sorry, Taylor Swift, if you're watching this, I did not mean this talk to be hurtful to anyone. My apologies, but she's a strong woman, she'll shake it off. So we have a profile of Ian and we can target ads to him based on that. If I put a few dollars on that, for the next couple of days, you can see that image of me hating a gummy bear non-stop in your feed. Big round of applause for our volunteer, Ian. Thank you very much. And thank you, Elul. So you've seen a pretty harmless way of how we can use this tool. I can just let someone know that I've taken a stupid picture of myself. I can do that. But a corporation can put this to far more nefarious use. For example, a betting company can form a profile of potential addicts and then target vulnerable users who meet that profile. But there are two details that make this whole situation a whole lot scarier. The first major detail is that they're not just tracking your interests and non-interests. It's not just what you like and don't like. It's what makes you sad, what makes you angry, what makes you afraid. The darker side of your emotions are tracked just as much as the lighter side, and this can be used to move products and win elections. There's a film I'd recommend to you. It's called The Great Hack, and it tells the story of a company called Cambridge Analytica. They built profiles of US voter personalities and then used fear and anger targeted campaigning to help Donald Trump win the US presidency. And this kind of fear and anger campaigning is going on every day online. The second massive detail is that these companies don't just harvest your emotions. They modify them in the first place. They keep you online as long as they possibly can by using the same tactics employed by gambling machines. They dangle the lure that something good is waiting just around the corner, that if you stay a little longer you might feel that emptiness, that if you give it one more spin you might find what you're looking for. That could be how you found this video. Hello if that's you. But more importantly, Facebook and other companies have admitted to deliberately limiting and filtering what users see in order to induce a particular emotional state. So they curate and filter the content that appears in your feed in order to put you in a certain mood. They're not just harvesting your emotions, they're farming and prepping them for the harvest. These are not benevolent entities that will use this power to make the world a happy place by only showing people stuff that makes them happy. Their goal is profit, and happy users are not the most profitable consumers. Unhappy people, with a sense of discontent, with a feeling that something's missing, are the most profitable consumers. And that's why you feel worse after a few hours online. There are trackers monitoring your emotional responses and sharing them with people you may not have given permission to necessarily. Then they're trying to manipulate what you see to put you in a certain emotional state, the most profitable one, that of discontent, and then they'll show you products that you can buy in the hope that you'll buy them. And if it's working today, it's only going to get more effective as time goes by. The algorithms running this are quite new, but every day they get millions of data points on our emotional responses. How do they get them? We go online and give it up willingly, like dairy cows lining up to be milked. And it's too useful for us to get away from it. But in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, these algorithms are going to be even more effective and even more efficient at making us feel worse in order to make us the ideal consumers to sell on to an advertiser. So what's my solution? I don't have anything wild to suggest. I don't recommend that you burn your devices and run off to a cave in the mountains where you can lead a simple but dignified life as a hermit. I don't even think you should delete your social media accounts. As I've said, even if you don't have an account, your data can be shared with those platforms. But I will say that emotional expression is a fundamental part of being a human being and always has been. And that it's not healthy for all of us to be doing our emotional expression in a space that's meant to make us feel worse. The more time you spend here, online, the less happy you will feel. But we've always had a way to express ourselves emotionally, and that's art. Creativity in every form. And I think it's more important than ever, because never before in the history of the world has there been such a threat to your emotional freedom and well-being. Never has there been a global, ubiquitous system designed to hook you in, make you feel worse, and sell those emotions on. But we have always had ways to express ourselves freely. And that's, I think, the solution. It doesn't matter what kind of art you do, it can take any form. But if you find yourself spending too much time online and feeling worse, and especially if you don't have a creative outlet, I reckon you should find anything you can do to express yourself and do it. And I guarantee you will feel better, happier, healthier, mentally fitter, and you'll find yourself less interested in spending time online. You'll just find it less interesting. That can take any form. You can paint things, you can draw things, you can write things, you could build model trains, you could get those blocks and robot things and make them, you could do carpentry, floral arranging, pick up an instrument and have a bash at it. You can do things on computers. They're not the enemy offline. You can make geometric art, you can construct video games, you can cook, you can work with craft beer. My four favorite things are music, comedy, poetry, and cooking. It doesn't matter what form it takes, and success is not the goal. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to the best in the world, because that's not the purpose of it. When you go for a job, you don't worry about whether you're as fast as Usain Bolt. You do it for your own health. And the same thing applies to creativity. You're not trying to be famous or meet any external standard. You're just trying to express yourself freely because you need to do that. As time goes by, and we continue to be online citizens and online people, the systems that turn us into gummy bears will become more and more effective. A gummy bear is a neat, sweet package that is convenient for its buyer and its seller, but it's terrible to be the gummy bear. You are a human. You deserve and you need to express your emotions freely in spaces where they're not being twisted, harvested, and sold. You deserve and you need spaces for expression that are not commodified. The internet is making you sad on purpose, but I promise you, you can take back your emotional well-being and freedom by making art. Thank you.